In this episode, I am going to be talking about whatever is going on in life, that never to give up on ourselves. This is Roisin Collins, the Voice of Experience podcast, episode 4. I want to share a story that happened to me a couple of years ago now, where I fell off my bike living in Bali, and it it looked like I just had a few scratches and a few bruises, but my toes kept getting worse and more. The pain kept getting more excruciating as time went on. I was starting to limp and I just couldn't understand what was going on. So I went to a doctor, and then finally they sent me to have an MRI, which showed nothing. So I went to a very good physio, and he told me it was all in my head and that to go home and to start, just pretend it's all fine. And I really wanted to listen to what he was saying, but I doubted it. And I doubted myself. I wasn't able to listen to my inner voice that said, no, he's wrong. And so I did what he said, and I continued walking on it. I continued running on it in the treadmill in the gym. The pain was excruciating. The foot was getting larger and more swollen as time went on. I would send him pictures and he'd say, "Oh, that's just part of it, just keep going." And so finally I couldn't take the pain anymore. And I went to have another MRI, and it showed it was broken in 3 places. So after I got off the pity pot and the anger at me not listening to myself, I had to wear a boot and crutches, and I was so limited. And I went into like quite a bit of a depression because I didn't have support, so I was doing it all on my own. And I decided that I would go back to the UK and I would go and see a consultant there, to which he told me, "You will never walk properly again. You will always have a limp, and you will always need to have steroid injections." And I just looked at him and I said, "No friggin' way." And I walked out, came back to Bali, and I started rehabbing it myself. It was a long journey. I started off hobbling on crutches a few meters, and then the next day I would go a bit more, and then I would have one crutch, and then no crutch. And this was a matter of like 2 or 3 months. And then I decided I was going back to the gym. And everyone like stared at me when I walked into the gym, this like little old lady hobbling along. And I got onto the treadmill, and I started walking on it, limping on it, maybe half a minute, and then I stopped. And then the next day I would do a bit more, and then the next day I would do a little bit more. So within about 6 to 9 months, I was running on the treadmill and I was perfectly healed. It took me almost a year. But the reason I'm saying this is that whatever is happening in our lives, we can never give up. Never give up on ourselves. No matter what is happening, we can just try a little bit at a time, and even if we feel things aren't working or it's taking too long or this is never going to work, we don't stop. We just continue a little bit every day. And that's what I found in my life, the committing to myself in really simple ways, you know, is the key for me, because it means that I'm, not this victim, and that I'm empowering myself, and that, you know, having to have patience with myself when everything else is lost. I just continue every day a little bit and a little bit and a little bit more. So that's all I wanted to share in this. And I would challenge you, if there's something that you're going through at the moment, don't give up. Try something, even if it's the tiniest thing for yourself. It could be an injury. It could be something that you're going through, maybe a depression, or you've lost somebody, or whatever it is. Find that strength within yourself every single day and show up for yourself every day. It can be just a minute of something, because that minute will grow into 2 minutes and 3 minutes. And that is where, like, we find this inner resilience, this inner strength that we all have. And I would love you to share in the comments what you did and how it's helping you in your life. Until we meet again, this is the Voice of Experience podcast with Roisin Collins.